Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my inheritance with the siblings who are now threatening to sue me for undue influence? Sorry for the long post. I'm just too angry to think straight. My father passed away a few months ago. In his will, he left his entire estate to me, explicitly disinheriting my brother Mark, 40 male, and sister Jenna, 38 female. The thing is, 10 years ago, my father gave them $150,000 each as an advance on their inheritance to start businesses because they begged and begged. He had a lot of money back then, so it wasn't much to him. Both of them blew it within 2 years, vacations, cars, etc., and had the nerve to ask him for more. When he refused, they got cruel. They stopped visiting, wouldn't let him see his grandkids, and bad-mouthed him to the entire family, claiming he was a miser who was hoarding their money. I was the one who was there for him. I took him to doctor's appointments, helped him with his finances, without ever touching a dime for myself, because unlike my siblings, I have a great job that I worked hard for, and was with him in hospice when he died. It was just me and him at the end. His will is ironclad, written by his longtime lawyer, and includes a clause stating they received their share during my lifetime. Mark and Jenna are furious. They've been blowing up my phone, saying I poisoned him against them. They're bad-mouthing me to the family, and I'm getting phone calls from relatives saying I should help them. Now they've hired a lawyer, and today I was served papers. They're threatening to contest the will, claiming I took advantage of our father in his old age and used undue influence to get him to cut them out. They offered to drop the lawsuit if I just give them $100,000 each. I told them to get lost and that I would never give them a single cent of our father's money after how they treated him. I am so angry I can barely speak. Am I the a-hole for telling them I'd see them in court and refusing to give them anything? I'm honestly worried that fighting this in court will cost more in legal fees than just paying them, but I'm so angry that I need an outside opinion because I've lost perspective. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Like the will states, your siblings received their inheritance while your father was alive. You know you have nothing to feel guilty about. Even if you gave them money, they would blow through it and ask again for handouts, saying, it's not fair you still have money and they don't. Block them and carry on with your life knowing you were there for your dad. Don't block. Mute and ignore. People like the brother and sister love to keep digging when they find themselves in a hole. Always nice when they provide all the evidence too. Definitely do not block them, but do not engage either. As this poster says, document it and let the lawyer handle it. Sorry you're going through this. Not the a-hole. I worked for a lawyer, and what he told me once was that it is very difficult to prove undue influence. From what you've shared here, it doesn't sound like they have much of a case, but I'm assuming you now have a lawyer yourself. Stop talking to your siblings and direct any further questions to your lawyer. Same with other relatives. Stop talking to them. Be very firm on this point. I have nothing more to say. And then just tell the siblings to contact your attorney. Thank you. That's good to hear. I have no idea how all this stuff works and just don't want to get bled dry with legal fees after all the crap they've pulled over the years. I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow to start dealing with this. Not the a-hole. Don't give them a cent. They are bluffing. They can try to sue, but they would need some proof for the trial to take place. As they don't have anything, the trial probably won't even happen. I thought the same thing until I got served papers, and it all became real. I'm going to call a lawyer once I stop fuming. I just hate the idea of losing any money at all over this. The worst part is, I feel like I'm the only one in this family who's grieving, and I'm just so drained over all this. It's been a very long few months. Also, I really like my nieces and nephews. The idea of not seeing them again is awful. Contact the lawyer who helped your father with his will. Thank you. Why didn't I think of this? It's been such a long few months. I have an appointment with an attorney tomorrow, but I'll call him now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to tell her mom to move out of our home after she decided to leave all inheritance to my brother-in-law? Me, 32. Wife, 30. Her brother-in-law, 27. Mother-in-law, late 50s. My father-in-law recently passed and left a very sizable life insurance policy to his son and wife. Mother-in-law. My wife received nothing. We understood this because her brother, 27, is not the brightest and still lives at home. He never goes out and only goes to work, then back home to play video games all day. They both recently moved into our home as they were too distraught to continue living in the home my father-in-law passed in. My father-in-law was truly the only adult in the home and was responsible for taking care of everything. He even drove my mother-in-law to and from work on a daily basis, a responsibility that has now been passed on to my wife. I have since taken over the estate planning, such as paying bills, swapping over policies, etc. My mother-in-law doesn't speak English and doesn't drive, so as family, it was my pleasure to take on this responsibility. After a month and a half, I finally settled all the bills, funeral planning, etc., and all the heavy lifting is complete. I do not say it lightly, but without me, the family would be lost on what to do. For example, they didn't even know where he worked, and were surprised to find out he even had a life insurance policy. Both do not have any retirement plans or savings. I suggested a shared bank account for my wife and her mom to put the payout into, where it would accrue interest, but also pay off bills every month. Mother-in-law had no bank account before. It was at this point, mother-in-law said she would rather not have her daughter on the account and wanted to give her portion of the payout to her son, and have him set up with a savings account. She said this because since my wife and I have a home, it would be better used on her brother. We do have a home, but we are by no means rich. In fact, them moving in would help us out financially, as there would be extra income from them paying rent. I expressed to my wife that leaving everything to him would be incredibly irresponsible, because then he would be left the family home and the payout, but mainly because he cannot do anything for himself and cannot be trusted with the money. I say this because of things I've learned about him. He does not have a driver's license, but drives a car to and from work, never helped with the estate, and I learned that he has a large amount of cash in his checking account. He has never had a girlfriend, and since I've known him, has shown no signs of ever wanting to move out. The large bank balance worried me because when I asked him about it, he told me he just had no idea what to do with it, and has no concept of retirement planning, since his parents took care of all the bills, and all he did was pay some of the mortgage, go to work, and then go home to play video games. My wife was also there when her mom had breast cancer, and took her to and from every single appointment, to the point of using all her vacation and sick days to help during this time. Her brother is not a bad guy. In fact, he's a great friend. But he just doesn't ever seem like he'll grow up to be a responsible person. I told my wife that after agreeing to take them in and have them live with us, it would be a slap in the face to be left nothing. So I told her that her mother and brother should move back to their home and use the money from the payout to help them live with the absence of my father-in-law. She was then furious with me and said all I care about is money, even though I feel that this is not so much about money, but that there is a complete lack of respect being shown, with nothing for all the help we have given and will continue to give. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit, I would like to add that their plan for their family home would be to rent it out. They purchased it before interest rates went up a few years back and would be set to make $1,000 cash profit every month from it. Second edit, we didn't even know about any life insurance policy when we took them in. It was only after very extensive digging through his records that I found out there was such a policy. I'd like to add that my wife thinks this isn't the right move to leave them to fend for themselves because her brother and mom are not able to communicate effectively if needed. She only speaks Spanish, and he only speaks English, but he does understand Spanish and can say simple words like yes or no in Spanish. So, he would be unable to have in-depth conversations about any planning. That's where I have been serving as a bridge, albeit without any input from the brother, as he has not been involved with any planning since it doesn't seem too important to him. Not the a-hole. OP, you do realize that mother-in-law's retirement plan probably will be your wife and you taking care of her? Don't forget they will also be expected to provide care for the brother for the rest of his life. Perhaps he at least can be guided toward independence? OP and wife need to talk things out so they can present a united front to mother-in-law if OP wants anything to change. A family therapist may be able to help them communicate, since it sounds like they want what's best for everyone. Thank you for the validation. This is definitely a real possibility. Her 401k had about $4,000 when we checked. Not the a-hole. It is your house too. Mother-in-law should get the boot. Not the a-hole. But I read this through a unique lens, and there may be layers here that complicate things. When you say brother-in-law is not bright, are you referring to a cognitive disability? If one adult child has a disability, it could be a valid reason not to split assets 50-50. That said, it would be important to establish a trust and do it appropriately, so that brother-in-law is not able to squander his security. I would say he's not bright, in the sense that he's still living as if he were a teenager. He has no concept of paying bills, and money does not seem important to him, as he was always taken care of by his parents. All he has ever worried about in his adult life is paying his share of the mortgage and which new PS5 game to get. I would go as far as to say that he may be autistic. Truly, this entire month and a half, I've only ever seen him when he goes to the kitchen for food and when he's going to or from work. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to co-assign my sister's mortgage after what happened with my ex-wife? I, 35 male, got divorced 3 years ago. Back then, I thought I was being the nice guy by putting everything in both our names. The house, the car, even some of my savings. Big mistake. When things fell apart, she walked away with half of everything, and I had to basically start over. It was one of those experiences that changes how you see trust and money forever. Fast forward to now, my younger sister, 29 female, is buying a house with her fiancé. She asked me to co-sign the loan, since her credit isn't great, and said I'm the financially responsible one in the family. I told her no. I said after everything I've been through, I just can't tie myself financially to anyone who's not me, especially not in a relationship situation. She got really upset and said I was punishing her for what my ex did. My parents took her aside and told me I'm being too cold and should be helping family, not acting like everyone's out to get me. But honestly, I can't do it. I still have trust issues and I'm just trying to protect myself. So now I'm getting guilt-tripped for being selfish, when all I'm trying to do is not make the same mistake twice. Am I the a-hole for refusing to co-sign? Tell your parents to co-sign then. And you know why they won't, because they know how dumb an idea it is, but hope OP is naive and can be guilted into it. I'm sorry, but why don't the parents ever step in to help their own children in these situations? Why do they always lean on the sibling to do it? Not the a-hole. If she can't qualify for a loan with her fiancé, then they shouldn't be buying a house until her credit improves. Some parents do and get burned. Even after having their credit ruined, they think it's perfectly fine and expected for a sibling to take their turn getting their credit thrashed. How do I know? I lived it. Did you tell them where they could stick their hassling? My siblings know not to bother asking me. It's my parents' mom who would come to me with tears in her eyes, saying she doesn't want to see her grandchildren out on the street. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not having strict rules when it comes to my baby and making my sister-in-law feel bad about it? Husband and I have a baby boy who is 6 months old. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law have a 1.5-year-old girl. Sister-in-law and I have very different rules when it comes to our children, and I guess this is what created this issue. Sister-in-law is what my husband calls a helicopter parent. She has 100 rules when it comes to her daughter, and it's honestly too much sometimes. Some examples. No one in the family was allowed to see the kid until she turned 3 months old. Each time we see her, we get slapped with her set of rules. No kissing, no hugging, no picking up without her approval, no visiting without being invited, etc. The rules are valid, however, it's her way of imposing them, meaning that every time we meet, she gives us a 10-minute lecture on what we are not allowed to do. Once we were all in the same room and my mother-in-law looked her daughter's way and made the sound of a kiss towards her. It was just the gesture of a kiss from afar, not a real kiss. However, sister-in-law spent 15 minutes explaining why we are not allowed to kiss her. I was not allowed to hold her daughter until recently because of my nails. I normally have medium nails, not extremely long, not pointy, but somehow she acted like I would stab her kid with my nails. Whatever. Husband and I are very relaxed when it comes to our parents. Every time they come by, we use the chance to do things that we don't have time to do otherwise, or just go out for a coffee, just the two of us. Honestly, even having my mother-in-law watching the baby while my husband and I go outside to smoke a cigarette is very relaxing and feels like an adventure for us. My in-laws are coming at the end of this week to stay with our son because my husband and I need to sort out some paperwork for a property. When sister-in-law found out about this, she got mad and sent me a text last evening, complaining about all the things I do to spite her. The main things are: 1. I had to recover fast after my C-section just to spite her and show everybody I'm better than her, which of course is not true. She needed 1 month to recover after her surgery. I was able to clean the house, take care of my baby, and be functional 5 days after my surgery. But it's just my body. I recover well after surgeries. Also, I kind of developed a cleaning obsession after I got back from the hospital. So it was a mental thing, not that I wanted to prove something. I just couldn't stop for a while. 2. I don't impose too many rules on my in-laws just to show them I'm better than her. Not true. I have a set of rules. But if they want to hold the baby, they are free to do it without asking if they're allowed. If they want to cuddle the baby, they are free to do it. I don't mind. My husband doesn't mind. 3. Because of me not imposing the same rules as her, I get help while she doesn't. The thing is, one of her rules is that we don't go to visit her without being invited, and she rarely invites us. So how is she supposed to get help if we can't go to her place? Anyway, my husband says she's crazy, but I keep wondering, is there anything I'm doing to make her feel this way? I'm not competing with her in any way. I don't want to gain points or anything. It's just the way I choose to raise my child. So, am I the a-hole? Am I doing something wrong here? Laughing out loud. Moms are wild. How dare you recover from surgery faster than me? Yeah, this was insane to hear for me too. Honestly, I would have loved to relax more, or at least spend more time in bed. But I had to become a cleaning psycho, and it was not cool. Add this to your list. Your child is going to be able to form a much stronger bond with the grandparents. But this is what every parent should want, right? I mean, I get it if the grandparents are bad people or have issues, but my in-laws are not. They are great people and they love them. Sure, there are moments when I know our son should be sleeping, and instead he's there laughing with his grandpa, but I don't see it as a tragedy. Yes, I know he will be cranky after a while, or maybe he will be more difficult to put to sleep at night, but meh. I might have a hard time for 1 to 2 hours, but I feel like those special moments matter more than a little inconvenience.